Hello and welcome. My name is Michael Newton, aka DB9 Mike, and I am a 20-year-old entrepreneur. And this is episode one of a series that I've not yet named. So, episode one of some series that I'm starting right now. So, I think the best way for me to introduce myself and my channel to you is to tell a story about how I started my business while I was in college. So I started a marketing company called Swarm. We're now based out of Nashville, Tennessee. I started this company last year as a freshman in college. So full disclosure, when I started, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And oftentimes I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's just like anything. When you're in the beginning stages of starting anything, like I'm starting this YouTube channel right now, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I just went out and bought this camera. I turned it on. I sat down in front of it, and I'm just winging it. And it'll get better eventually, but it probably sucks right now. So that's just how anything goes. If you're starting anything, heads up. You're going to suck. It's whatever. But anyways, so basically this is how the story goes. When I was 14, I started my first business as a freshman in high school. So I was going to car shows, and I ended up meeting a guy who had a Lamborghini Murcielago, and I was blown away by the fact that there was this car there. It was like the only Lambo there. And I grew up in a town where there wasn't really much money. You know, my family never had much money or anything like that. So seeing a car like this was like mind blowing as like a 14-year-old. So anyways, I connected with the owner. Long story short, I'll tell this story in another video, but he became a mentor of mine and sort of showed me the world of entrepreneurship. So he inspired me to start a detailing company when I was in high school. That story I'll also share in another video because it's pretty long and there's a lot of cool details that I'd like to share with you. But long story short, when I was 14, a freshman in high school, I started my first business as a car detailer. So I was, driving my mom's car around with a permit. I wasn't even supposed to be doing that. Knocking on doors, trying to wash people's cars. So I grew that business while I was in high school. I ended up selling it when I was a junior in high school. And after that, I was just basically set on entrepreneurship as a career path. I didn't want to do anything else. I knew that's what I wanted to do for sure. I didn't know what business I wanted to be in or what exactly I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to have my own thing so that I could build the life that I wanted. So that was the only thing I knew. I'd started this business, I'd sold it for a little bit of money, and all I knew is that, hey, I want to start a business. And so then as a senior in high school, you have to make the decision. Do you go to college or do you not? So naturally, I didn't have a business at the time, so the best decision I had was to take the leap and go to college. So I ended up getting accepted to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, which is a very expensive state university. I think tuition is like $30,000 a year. And that's if you go like super cheap, stay in like the really shitty dorms or whatever, which is what I did. But thankfully, my parents had a low enough income to where I got a full ride scholarship there as long as I kept the GPA. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to school for free. So I go to UT Knoxville, I show up there, and I absolutely hated it. Every second. The minute I went to my first class, I realized that I wasn't going to learn what I wanted to learn there, doing what they were telling me to do, which was go to class, do your homework, study, do all that shit. I wasn't learning anything that I thought was useful at all. Like, literally nothing. Geology and geometry and shit like that. Just like a waste of time, in my opinion, based on what I wanted to do. So all I knew at this time was I wanted to start a business. I didn't know what business. I didn't know necessarily how I was going to do it. That's all I knew. And so I sat down with my girlfriend. We went to the library, which is called Hodges Library, if you know UT Knoxville. So we go to the library, we sit down with a whiteboard, and I looked at her and I asked her this question. I said, what do I have that no one else in this town has, right? And so really it wasn't much, right? I don't have a lot of money. I didn't have like any money at all at the time. I didn't have any necessarily great skills. I didn't have any resources at all to work with. But what I did have was the fact that I was very entrepreneurial. I had a lot of marketing experience from my prior business ventures. I had a mentor who had started a marketing company while he was in college. So I had a few things that none of the other students really had. And then I looked at the fact that I was also a student. So what I had that made me unique that no one else had was that I was a student, I was entrepreneurial, and I had marketing experience. Those were the three things that I had that no one else did. So, how I approached coming up with a business idea was okay, these are or two things. These are the three things that I have that no one else does. So, how do I leverage those three things in a business opportunity to where those three things are a competitive advantage? In other words, how do I take these three tools? So let's call these three things that make me unique tools. How do I take these tools to battle so that I can fight people in this battle to where they don't have the tools that I do, right? So it's basically like, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I was like, how do I bring a gun to a gunfight? Or I'm not explaining this well. I hope you understood that. I'll dive deeper into that in another video, the whole like process behind coming up with this idea. But because I think it's really important. I think it applies to everybody who's starting out, as someone who doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience. They need to realize what makes them unique, and then how do they leverage those things to be competitive advantages in like a business opportunity. So, long story short, that's what I did. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll go into that in another video. But damn, I got like 5 videos scheduled just out of this like initial one. This is exciting. I like this. So that's what I did, and what I came up with was I was going to start a marketing company where I was going to help brands, local businesses who serve the college kids at my campus. I was going to help them advertise to college kids. Now, how I was going to do that, I had no idea. So the first ideas that I came up with was one, I was going to create a mass email list, like an email newsletter with all of the students' student email addresses. So I found this way to basically scrub the student email addresses off of the school's database, which is very illegal, and I did not know that at the time. But I scraped all the students' email addresses and then created this, email newsletter. And then the school threatened to, like, basically pursue legal action against me and kick me out of the school. So I was like, yeah, that idea is probably not the best. Then the other idea I had was to basically but connect with some of the art students at UT Knoxville and have them create like big promotional murals, sidewalk murals, like with chalk and paint and stuff like that, that were basically ads that we could put around campus. So it's like we would be creating art that was also an advertisement, and then companies would pay us to create these ads for them. That idea didn't work, mainly because art students are pretty weird. Not to be rude if you're an art student, but they're very hard to work with in a business relationship. So if you're an art student, this is just the truth. So that's why that idea didn't work. The next idea was we were going to create the largest like littering company of all time. It was the worst idea of all of them. We were going to create these like stickers for all of our clients, and then we were going to basically make ads and then put them on stickers and then plaster the whole school with them. And the problem with that was that if we went and did that, the school would see, like they would see like, oh, this barbecue restaurant put stickers all over our campus. We're going to call them, and have them pay to have us clean it up. So that didn't work. And then it occurred to me what we needed to do. So this was after, like, I kid you not, like 6 or 8 months of trial and error, trying ideas and just having them fail miserably. Like, it was really disheartening, but I was so set on coming up with something for me to do as a business. And so it finally occurred to me, how do I advertise to college kids? Is not through any of this. It's like not through any of this like shit. It's not through an email newsletter. It's not through murals. It's not through plastering stickers everywhere. It's through other students, right? So I was basically just sitting back observing how students interacted, and I was listening in on a couple people that were having lunch, and they were talking about different things that they had bought, and then the other members of that group would chime in and be like, "Oh, I want to buy that. Like, where'd you get that? Send me the link to it." So basically, what I realized is that kids don't buy because of a sticker. They don't buy something because of an email. Like, it's just not how kids today make buying decisions. And I should have known this because I'm actually one of them, and I abide by the same rules that they do. But I realized that influencer marketing was the single most effective way to get a student to buy something. So that's what we did. We created an influencer marketing agency for brands to advertise to college students. So anyways, long story short, that's how the idea came about. And then once we had that, that's when it got interesting, right? So I sent an email to every single business within a 10-mile radius. So I sent like 3,000 emails to everybody because I didn't know who was going to want to pay us for this service. So I sent an email to everybody I could find in Yellow Pages, Yelp, like everywhere there were like business listings. I sent them all emails. And all I said was, "Hey, my name is Michael Newton. This is the idea I have. This is the service we're offering. It's $500 a month. If you're interested, please let me know. We only have a few slots available." So I sent that email out, and I got approximately 0 return emails. Nobody replied, right? It was pretty bad. And then 4 weeks later, so a month later, I get a phone call from American Eagle, the clothing company, like the really big clothing company. And they said they wanted to run a campaign with us. And so, sure enough, they became our first client, and we ran a big campaign with them at UT. It was really interesting. I learned a ton. And then the next thing that happened, which was totally out of the blue, and I didn't expect it to happen at all. I thought I was going to be a clothing marketer, based on, I got American Eagle reached out to me. I'm going to do clothing company marketing to college students. So then the next 6 emails I got back from that initial blast were from apartment buildings. So we started running campaigns for apartment buildings, and it turns out that we were saving them a lot of money, and we were actually generating them a lot of revenue. And so it occurred to me, wow, there's an opportunity here. So that's what I did, basically, from a year 1.3 or whatever I said earlier, 15 months ago. That's when I started doing that, and that's what the business has become since then. So anyways, this is basically the overview of what I do and who I am and how I got started. So the message here is, don't give up on your ideas, and also don't pursue shitty ideas, right? So like my problem initially was I had all these really terrible ideas, mainly because I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. So I pursued really terrible ideas relentlessly. And I knew when to quit. And I quit when it was just unbearable. Like when I would talk to everybody and nobody would even entertain the idea at all. So if that's happening to you, odds are your idea is shit. And that's just the truth. So if everybody's kind of writing your idea off, saying it's bad, it probably is. A good idea will get great response from somebody. But this is the other thing too that I did that I think that you should consider also if this is happening to you. So if everybody you're talking to is saying your idea is shit and they don't want it, it probably is, or you just haven't talked to enough people. So like what I did initially when we came up with this idea for the influencer marketing company is I told you I sent like 3,000 emails. And that's not an exaggeration at all. I sent like literally 3,000 emails out to every business within like a 10-mile radius of, like the school. Like that's a ton of businesses. Also like I was like sending to plumbers, churches, apartment buildings, clothing companies, restaurants, catering companies, everybody. And that's the only way I actually discovered the opportunity with apartment buildings, which we've since built a 6-figure and almost a 7-figure company around in less than a year. So, like, that's how it actually happened, right? So, the message to you is, one, your idea is either shit if people are telling you it is, or two, you just haven't talked to enough people. So, my advice is, if you are a young entrepreneur and you have an idea for a business, right? You're just starting out, you're just starting to pursue this idea. Step number one should be to come up with as many ideas as possible, but go really hard with each one and like talk to a ton of people. So the main thing here is, when you have an idea for a product or service or a business in general, talk to everybody about it. As many people as possible in as many different industries as possible. Like, literally talk to 10,000 people if you can. Because you'll figure out that if 10,000 people don't want it, probably nobody will want it. It's probably a shit idea. But if 9,000 people don't want it and the other 1,000 do, and they're all dentists, and you're like, well, I didn't even expect for dentists to want this, then you know you actually have stumbled upon a good opportunity, and you can sell the hell out of your product to dentists, and then now you have a business. So that's how it happens. And so, anyways, this is my like short little story about how I started, what I do. And anyways, yeah, this channel is basically going to be me documenting my journey in starting this company from basically scratch to growing it. And so my intention is to eventually sell the company in a few years once I've grown it to the point where it is mature and it will be valuable as an acquisition to another company. So what you will find on this channel, I'm going to like sneeze or something. I'm getting like stopped up. Wow, that was like really inconvenient. Okay, I think I'm good. There we go. All right. All good. What a disaster of a first video. Wow. I don't know if this is or not. Maybe I can just edit this out. Clip. But anyways, what you will find on this channel is stuff like this. I'm going to share with you everything that I'm learning in this process of starting and growing this company, and eventually to the point where I'll be selling it. I'm going to be documenting the entire thing, and then I'm going to put up videos, tips, tricks, like things I've learned, like little hacks, like entrepreneur hacks for starting a company, doing sales, and just dealing with life as somebody who is trying to build something. It is not easy, it is difficult, and no one really understands it unless they're doing it as well. So my hope for this channel is to pass on the knowledge that I'm acquiring every single day to you as a young entrepreneur yourself who is just getting started, who's looking for ideas, who's just trying to figure out how to get started and how to build something. You know, I want to share my journey with you because that's exactly what I'm trying to do, you know, and I may be 10 steps behind you. I may be 1 step ahead of you. Who knows? But I want to be able to share everything I'm learning with you so that you can learn things that I had to learn the hard way without having to learn them the hard way, right? So that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you are interested in anything that I had to say, please subscribe, hit the like button, drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Hopefully, as long as you like me and you don't think I'm a douchebag, which I hope you don't. But that being, like, yeah, so I'm not sure how to end a video because this is the first video I've ever done. So I'm probably going to end it by like taking my hand and walking up and doing like the vlogger, like Casey Neistat type deal. So we're going to do that right now. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.